Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is mindset, and the question is, are you enjoying or enduring your journey? So, I was thinking through this the other day that when I was younger and I worked on different types of kind of fitness goals, that I often would find myself taking on more of a type of like warrior mindset rather than a kind of enjoyment mindset. So, for example, like what started me in my fitness journey was when I was 15 years old, a friend and I were kind of teasing each other, playing around, and he had said, well, at least I'm not fat. And at the time, if you'd have asked me, was I overweight, I would have said, yeah. But it was like a shock to me at that moment that other people could see it, and it was so obvious, in the sense that I don't really even know how to word it. It's something I was aware of, and I'm sure other people like would have known it about me, but I'd never been judged on it, if that makes sense. So whenever he said that, it kind of like struck me as like, well, crap, I don't like that. Like, I don't like the fact that somebody can call me something that I don't like to be true of myself. So I kind of like was very lucky that I took it internally. And I wasn't mad at him. He didn't make me fat. I made me fat. And I allowed myself to become something that could be true of me, that was true of me, that I didn't like. So that was my responsibility to change, since I was the one that created the situation I didn't like. So I started doing 250 push-ups and 250 sit-ups every single day. That was my goal on my 15th birthday. And I remember that was a kid at the time who did no push-ups and no sit-ups. And I was kind of like skinny fat. I was chubby, but I had no muscle whatsoever. So I couldn't even do 20 push-ups in a row. And for some reason, why the hell I decided on 250 push-ups and 250 sit-ups was a horrible choice, because it took me forever every day to do it. But from my 15th birthday to my 16th birthday, I only missed 10 days that year. But I do remember that that was a warrior mindset. So every single day I had to get this done, or I was a loser. I was always going to be the fat piece of crap that I always had been. I was never going to be better in life. I was never going to become who I was meant to be. Nothing was ever going to get better. Nothing was ever going to change if I didn't do these push-ups and sit-ups. So it was a very kind of black or white, all or nothing, like very warrior-based, enduring-based mindset. So I sure as hell did not enjoy 250 push-ups and 250 sit-ups every day. I didn't even approach the concept of trying to enjoy seeing my body change, enjoy seeing what I was capable of when I really put myself to put my mind to something. There was no aspect of enjoyment with it. It was just to endure the goal, endure the process. I remember also, like, I've done weight cuts of 50 pounds or less. Try to lose 50 pounds in 10 weeks or less. So I've lost 50 pounds in 10 weeks twice, and once I lost 50 pounds in 8 weeks. And this is not water cuts. So it wasn't like I sat in a sauna and did stuff like that. It was through really mismanaging eating. I was eating far too less than what I should have. I was doing a ton of cardio. So this is before kind of my days of really knowing what the hell I was supposed to be doing when losing weight. It was just challenges to see if I was mentally tough enough to endure the goal. So, and I remember like part of that process was the first time I ever lost 50 pounds in 10 weeks, I recognized that I was going to have hunger pains. So I was anorexic when I was younger, like 15, 16, 17. So I have been used to a discomfortable feeling associated with hunger for a long time. And during those 50-pound cuts, I would get to that pain where I don't even really know how to explain it. It's just, it's insanely uncomfortable, and your body is just like arguing with you all day. You feel absolutely freaking miserable. Nothing feels good. And I remember I found a trick was to drink 2 liters of diet soda as fast as I could. And it made me insanely bloated. My belly was extended and like just felt uncomfortable. But we actually have a hunger-based hormone that is associated with the stretch tension of our stomach. So there's a whole bunch of sciencey stuff behind this, and I'm not even going to pretend like I understand all of it. But one of the sensations we have of feeling full, so one of the ways our brain registers as being full is the gut pressure, so the pressure on our stomach from what's inside. So if we create internal pressure of the stomach, that will lessen our feeling or sensation of being hungry. So I used to drink 2 liters of diet soda as fast as I could and get extremely bloated, and I would have a lot of pressure in my belly, so therefore it would lessen the hunger pains. But then I was ridiculously uncomfortable due to having 2 liters of soda in me as fast as possible. So I was in a sense just trading one pain for another, but it was nice to get out of the pain that I had already been experiencing for a long time. So this is things that happen sometimes when people are going through depressions, going through addictions, is, if you're depressed and you don't like that feeling anymore, all of a sudden you take a drug, you do something, whether it's exercise or something positive or something really negative. But often when people do something negative to get away from depression, they already know it's going to be negative. They already know it's going to be bad consequences. It was the same bad consequences as the last time they used that mechanism. However, it's at least a different pain. It at least got them out of the pain that they had normally felt all damn day from anxiety and depression and whatnot. So understanding that mindset of the need to change my pain, that's what I found was helpful with diet soda. But again, that was an enduring process, not an enjoying process. So I didn't enjoy anything about those 50-pound weight cuts. I didn't try to figure out anything better about them. It was just, can I meet the goal? Everything else be damned. So I've also had phases where I tried to gain weight. So one time when I was younger, I set the goal of drinking a gallon of milk a day, and I did it for 2 years. So for 2 years of my life, I drank a gallon of milk every damn day. And it helped me gain weight. I got chubby and kind of fat, so it's not definitely a recommended thing to do. Too much sugar in it, and especially for how small I was at the time. But I did it. So I endured the process. I remember there were several nights where I'd have to stay up before I could go to bed and drink if not the whole gallon, but 3/4 of the gallon because I didn't get enough done during the day. But it was ways in which I had to just kind of endure the process but meet the goal. And then I also had a goal one time. I remember when I was in grad school, I had the goal of kind of gaining weight. I was eating 5,000 calories a day. And this is somebody who normally only eats one meal a day and can be fine with that. So it was a pretty hard stretch, and I was trying to do it through healthy foods. So I remember one time I was drinking a protein shake that had oats in it, and I hate the consistency of protein shake with oats because it's too thick to chew, to just swallow it down like a drink. But there's nothing to it consistency-wise to chew. So your body gets really confused because it doesn't know to chew or to drink or whatever. So I remember one time I was in a parking lot outside of the building for school, and I was trying to drink a protein shake that was supposed to be done before the class started. And I was running late. It was already a minute into class, and I was trying to chug this drink down, and I actually projectile vomited, threw up the drink because I was trying to force it down so bad. So I have done a ton of stupid things. And this is just nutrition related. So there's plenty more stories unrelated to nutrition of me doing very stupid things. But these were mindsets of trying to endure the process rather than enjoy the process. So they were kind of the warrior, all or nothing, black and white, like everything in my entire life depends on this being successful kind of mindsets. And if you're not aware yet, that is a ridiculously stupid mindset to have, because if you end up being successful in the goal, it is not a life-sustainable mindset anyhow. So often when you have a black or white kind of enduring mindset, you won't make the goal very well. So you'll often fail because you make one little mistake, therefore everything's ruined because everything's so black and white. And also, since you're not enjoying the process, we don't really try to fit it into our everyday life. We just try to jam it in, and we don't make it work. We more so try to work around it. So those mindsets are typically going to be failure-based, like you're going to fail at those mindsets. You'll either fail at your goal, or once your goal is met, you'll fail at sustaining the results of the goal. So I might lose 30 pounds in 30 days, but how the hell am I going to keep those 30 pounds off, right? So it used to be a challenge of a measure of who I was. So I put my character on the line when I took on those challenges. If I failed the challenge, then I was a failure. Now, that is not a healthy mindset to have. That is absolutely not a mindset that I would encourage you guys to have. Now, did that mindset have some benefits to me? Yes, it did. So I learned how tough I really could be. I'm a pretty stubborn SOB when I want to be. So if I really want to achieve something, I can crush a goal with everything else be damned if I really set my mind to it. And coming from a place of kind of like a fat, lazy kid, it was important for me to recognize how tough I could be. And then it became, as I got older, important to recognize how tough I needed to be. There's a big difference there. So I didn't have to be a warrior. I didn't have to make, my character dependent on the process of the goal, like the outcome of the goal, I mean. It was just, it became unnecessarily overwhelming. So I was very successful towards those goals, but I didn't have maybe the best social life I could have had. I didn't have the best friends. I didn't have the best self-language. So I was a complete asshole to myself for a lot of years. So I said things to myself that I would never say to a human being ever, 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 because I'd feel like absolute garbage if I were to talk to somebody like that. But yet I talked to myself like that every day. And how sad is that? How sad is it that we beat ourselves up the most? We should be supporting ourselves. We should be uplifting ourselves. You need to stay realistic. So I'm not going to try to say you should be your biggest cheerleader to the point where you're not paying attention to what reality is. But it's so sad that we kind of destroy ourselves and with self-talk and just the way that we view ourselves, the way we treat ourselves. It's just really, really, really sad that happens. So I don't remember the author name, and my computer is acting stupid right now, so I can't really look up anything up. But there was a mental health kind of book I read titled How to Stop Feeling Like Shit. Love the title. And it was written by a female author, and it was, for a while, I was searching for female authors for various books because I wanted to get more female perspectives of mental health. And a lot of clients I work with are females, of course. So, unfortunately, they're stuck reading books by men a lot. And not that a guy can't write a book good for a female, and a female can't write a book good for a male. So I'm not saying that. But women deserve to listen to another woman and get the opinion of someone who can better relate to them and understand the little nuances that a man would not be able to understand when it comes to mental health. And there are differences. There are a lot of similarities, of course, but there are differences in the way that men and women, what they struggle with mentally. Absolutely. And one of my favorite books written by the female authors when that stretch of books where I was reading through was that one of How to Stop Feeling Like Shit. And it talked about self-language. So how do you talk to yourself? Now, there are a ton of other books I've read that talk about that, but that one was very good in my mind because it was a very honest approach, and it had good sciencey background and stuff, but it was just from a real-life perspective. And I thought that was a great resource, and it's very important that we pay attention to our self-language because it's going to make a huge difference in our mental and emotional health. So when I wanted to switch over, and it kind of just started naturally happening for me, was switching over from that mindset of enduring to the mindset of enjoying. So it evolved to an understanding that challenges were opportunities, not battles. Whether it was a self-chosen challenge of a diet, or exercise or something like that, or whether it was life throwing a challenge at me, I started to recognize, okay, I'm a tough dude. I can handle this. Let me see how well I can handle it. Let me see if I can figure out the process to handle this in the best way. What can I learn from this? How can I improve in my character? In what ways is this going to make me a better person? And when I started taking on that mindset, the mindset of opportunities and enjoying the challenges of life, that's when I really, really became way more successful in business, more successful in my personal character development, just a much happier enjoyment of life. So I'm very annoying to the people around me, in the gym is they always ask, like, how are you doing? My answer is, I'm always great. And people are like, oh, geez, what the hell do I even ask? So, because it's like, how are you? I'm always good. Something like that. And it's true, though. So whatever little challenges I come across in life, and there are challenges in my life, but they are opportunities for me to get better. And often the challenges I face are not anything near what I hear from clients. I have clients who lose custody of their kids. And I can't even imagine the pain of that. I've had clients who lost their kids, like their kids passed away. And I have no way to relate how painful that would be. I've had clients who've had physical disabilities and diseases and things that took over their body outside of their control. So, I've torn a bunch of muscles over the years. So I've talked about how I've torn 17 muscles. I will never complain. You don't hear me complain about my torn muscles in the gym, and none of my friends hear me complain because I have clients who can't squat their body weight, but they would love to put 800 pounds on their back and go crazy with squats. They'd love to come in and train like a beast, but they just can't anymore. So I might have a lot of injuries, but I can still do what I want to do. I can still squat, I can still bench, still deadlift, I can still run around like a crazy idiot and do CrossFit stuff and have fun. And, I can still move myself around. I still have body control. So a lot of the complaints that I may have are minuscule in response to other people's. And it doesn't mean that I'm discrediting the struggles I have. So it's okay for me to have a struggle. It's okay for me to be challenged by what I'm challenged by. But it's also good to keep in perspective of the degree of challenges that various people face and to recognize that if somebody faced something much larger than what I'm facing and they were able to come through and become better on the other side, then so can I. So I use it as motivation. So how can we make sure that we approach life and our own self-chosen goals with a mindset of enjoying versus enduring? And I have a couple things here real quick that I just wanted to kind of go through. And I wanted to introduce them to you guys and girls and give you a chance to maybe think things through in your life and see if you're using these concepts. And if you're not, how can you maybe start using them to have more enjoyment in your life? Okay? So the first one is to recognize the concept of lessons versus failures. So anytime you have a momentary failure, okay, and I say momentary because just because you fail something doesn't mean you have to stop. You can just keep going, okay? So I work with people all the time with nutrition, so they'll send me kind of what their reports are. So I work with people like in person or online with nutrition, and they'll either have like weight loss goals, health goals, or some kind of nutritional disorder that they're trying to figure out how to eat healthy around. So I help with performance-based and just general health-based stuff. So I have a lot of clients online, and they'll send me an email, and maybe that weekly review is like, hey, I really messed up on Tuesday. I went, with some friends at work, went to Mexican place, had, queso and chips and really shouldn't have, kind of had a big, burrito thing. I know it was way too many carbs. So I just kind of freaked out. I didn't eat anything the rest of the day because I felt really guilty, but then I was really hungry at night, so I had such and such. Then the next day I was so starving, I ended up overeating that day, and you can just see a cascade of mistakes that even though they made one mistake on one day, it trickled down through that day and often even into the next day. So it became kind of like a cycle of mistakes, where they ate, which led to overeating. Then the overeating led to guilt, which led to undereating. And you can just see how they may have failed in the one moment of the food choices of that lunch. But if they just saw that as a lesson, and they said, hey, you know what? I had the extra food because I thought it would taste good and I thought I'd enjoy it. I didn't really enjoy it because it made me realize I was falling away from my goals, and I have big goals, and I want to accomplish them. So next time I'm at the Mexican restaurant, I'll make sure that, if they are offering queso and chips, I'm just going to say, no, you know what, I've had that before, and I didn't like the way I felt after that. So I'm going to say no today, and I'm going to stay on track for my goals. So instead of using that moment as a lesson, they saw it as a failure only. And then they just kind of tried to correct the failure by making another failure, by making another failure. So it's good for us to say to ourselves is when I make a mistake, That's all it is. It was a mistake. What can I learn from this so I don't repeat that mistake? Once I find out what I can learn from it, let me just move on with my regular habits and do normal life. And if that thing comes up again, I'll now know what to do. So stopping a mistake at one mistake, and then jumping right back on your plan, whether it's exercise, nutrition, or a life plan, okay? Whatever the course of best behavior was. Anytime you step off of that, step right back on. Just because you took a single side step does not mean the journey cannot still be followed. Okay? So understand that failures are just lessons. And then you get right back on track. Another mindset we have is progress versus perfection. So oftentimes people try to overhaul bad behaviors, okay, or incorrect behaviors, or something that they're trying to change about themselves that was a normal habit for them. And they say, you know what, cold turkey, I'm just never going to do that again. Bullshit, it ain't going to happen. It's ridiculously unlikely that you'll just be able to flip a switch and all of a sudden be perfect in the other direction. So, I have charts on my phone where I do like daily tracking charts for different behaviors and different things I want to work on. And I kind of, each day, I have a check if I get it right and X if I get it wrong. And there's no places to put excuses. So I've talked about that in the past. Freaking love the app that I use because you can't write down why it's an X. The app doesn't give a shit. You either did it or you didn't, and that's the way life works. So I'll track and see, and maybe the first month I make 15 mistakes. Maybe the next month it's 14. Maybe the next month it's only 10. Maybe the next month it's 12. Then all of a sudden it's back to 10. Then it's to 8. So that's my goal, is over time, can I become better? Not perfect. Can I simply just become better? And I've actually been tracking some things this whole year. And it was kind of neat. I looked at one actually this morning. And I had been kind of messing up about half the month. The first couple months. First 3 or 4 months. Then I was able to get it down to about a quarter of the month. And the last 2 months, I only had 2 or 3 mistakes. So it took me like freaking 90 days, okay, almost 100 days, to get to where I could start to get the behavior to be consistent enough where maybe there was only 1 mistake a week. But it took me 3 months. It took me 90 days of struggling with the right behaviors, the right mindset, to find a balance that was manageable. So often, people give up when they can't be perfect right away. When often there's also a process involved of how do you develop this new thing as a regular way of a habit or a regular way of thinking. So we have to allow ourselves time. And one of the ways to allow yourself time, but make sure it's productive time, is to focus on progression, not perfection. So you're just simply trying to get a little bit better as time goes by, not trying to be perfect right away. That's going to help. Another one we have is the seasons of life. So understand that at certain times of life, certain goals are not going to be good. Okay, they're not a good idea. So I have someone, for example, a friend, they have a very demanding job, so 50, 60-hour a week job. They also went back to grad school. And then we were talking recently, and they were saying how they were just kind of bummed that they didn't have a lot of time for the gym, and they've been trying to eat healthy, but every once in a while they'll miss a meal or they'll do this or that. And we talked about how they had wanted to take on maybe a competition style diet and really crack down on exercise and nutrition and say, you know what, I'm going to get super serious. I'm just going to do everything as if I was going to step on stage. And I actually told them not to. So there's a nutritionist and a personal trainer telling somebody not to eat well and exercise. But what the conversation actually was, I said, listen, what season of life are you in right now? You have a job that's very demanding that you have to go to. Okay, you have to get this done. And I don't want to share all the personal details, but this is something where they're working at this job that is not a passion of theirs, and they're going to grad school in a sense to hopefully change that job. But that job is allowing them some benefits financially. So what it's doing is it's allowing them to make progress in life towards their future of what they really want. So if they slack on the job, they're actually going to slack on the future life that they would like to create. So they can't really pull back on that. So I told him, I said, listen, you got this big job, you got grad school. Don't try to also add the gym an hour every single day. When are you going to do homework? When are you going to sleep? Okay? And don't worry about whether you're doing something diet-wise that's super duper perfect. Just have some protein at every meal, have a carb or a fat. If you're active, have carbs. If you're inactive, have fats. But don't try to make it the most perfect food in the world. Don't try to get like your meal timing down to every 5 minutes, like where every 5 minutes matters. Just try to do best, okay, with what you can, but recognize that the season of life that you're in right now, that your job in health, okay, in regards to exercise and nutrition, is to slowly putter along a little bit with progression. But you're not trying to crack down and be amazing on it, okay? That time will come. So understanding the season of life you're in is a huge benefit for helping you to enjoy where you are. So if you understand lessons versus failures, okay, you might make mistakes, but you're still going to enjoy the process because you're learning. Okay, you take the lesson of that mistake and you improve. If you focus on progress versus perfection, you can still enjoy the process while you're making mistakes, because you may be making mistakes, but you're making less than you were before. And if you understand the season of life that you are in, you can better understand when it's appropriate to take on certain goals versus maybe put them on the back burner for later when it's more appropriate. So you can enjoy your life more because you're trying to do the right amount of things at that time, rather than trying to do all of the things at that time. Okay? So that's what we want to look at when it comes to your exercise goals, nutrition goals, or just life in general. Are you enjoying life, or are you just enduring life? So back in podcast 247, titled Daily Happiness Routine, I shared a thing that I do every night to help me become happier. So it's a list of questions and some things I think through. So just some things of like what made me laugh today. And I kind of reflect on the funniness of that moment. And it brings a smile to my face before I go to bed. So there's some other things in there. So you can check that out, podcast 247. But what it represents is a way that I am nurturing and growing happiness. So if I want to enjoy life, I can't just sit and wait for enjoyment to come to me. Okay? When you sit and just kind of deal with life as it comes, that's just going to be the enduring process. If you actually want to enjoy your life, you have to work at that. Okay? So if you believe you're unhappy in life, what the hell are you doing to create happiness? Why would you be happy if you're not trying to be happy? If you're just sitting around and waiting for life to give you happiness, oh my God, like, are you 30, 40, 50 years old and you're only now figuring out that ain't going to happen? I'm 36 years old and I know damn well that if I sit around and just let life come to me, that I sure as shit ain't going to be happy. Okay? Life is a big test. Everybody's annoying as hell and gets in their own way. Okay? So life is challenging. It absolutely is. There are fun moments in life. Okay? And every once in a while, you get some fun moments. But you also have to work at creating that. So something as stupid and simple as when I'm on social media, I do not follow, I unfollow people and or pages that are not positive. So if you get on Facebook and all you ever do is bitch and whine about your life, and you and I are friends on Facebook, I promise I'm never looking at your page. I probably have unfollowed you, but still tried to stay friends, so that way you didn't know that I'm not following you anymore. Okay? And I also have pages and channels and things that I follow that make me smile. So my brother's wife sent me this thing about chomps, which is like apparently a term for like fat cats. And it's this Facebook page where people just post pictures of fat cats. And it's super positive. It's actually really funny and cute. But it makes me smile every time I see it. Every single day when I see these videos or pictures of these fat cats, I just smile and laugh. Okay? But it was made by me signing up for the page. So my brother's wife, Mary, was super duper awesome. And she sent me that one day because she thought I might like it. And she was dead on. I love that thing. So, but I took the time to sign up. I took the time to filter through my homepage, get rid of the negative resources, bring in the happy resources. On Instagram, I follow a page called Dad Jokes, and they're just horrible, ridiculous puns that are just like, they're so annoyingly funny. Like, they're the ones that you read and you're like, oh my God, that's so stupid. Why am I laughing? But I took the time to filter out the pages and things that were negative, and I brought in the things that are positive. So happiness comes to me every day when I see those fat cats, okay? Happiness comes to me every day when I read those dad jokes. But it only comes to me because I set it up to do so. What happiness are you setting up in your life? Okay? Or are you just sitting around and waiting for happiness to come to you? If it does, it won't come as much or as frequent as if you actually put in some damn effort. Okay? You gotta earn your happiness. You have to nurture it. You have to grow it. You have to put effort into it. Okay? Just like if I want $1 million, I can wish for $1 million, but I ain't gonna get it. I gotta work it, and I